So it turns out that the former Minneapolis police officer, Derek Chauvin, was stabbed, and he was also very seriously injured at the federal prison that he is in Arizona, according to the Minnesota Attorney General. We don't have a lot of information other than the fact that we know that he is going to survive. And again, as I said earlier, I don't condone that sort of behavior. When I hear that prisoners are attacking other prisoners, doesn't matter what the crimes are that they committed, it's wrong. And I don't condone that sort of behavior. At the same time, when I heard that Derek Chauvin was stabbed, the first thing that entered my mind wasn't, oh my God, I feel so sorry for him. Oh my God, he's an innocent man. But if you listen to some people on the far right, they'll lead you to believe that Derek Chauvin should have never been behind bars in the first place. And this gave them an opportunity to, again, speak of their racism and bigotry in regards to the convicted murderer. Let me repeat that one more time. Derek Chauvin is a convicted murderer. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. But if you listen to somebody like the white supremacist Tucker Carlson, he'll lead you to tell something very, very different.
But the question is, did he actually murder George Floyd? And the answer is, well, no, he didn't murder George Floyd. And we're not guessing about that. We know it conclusively, thanks to a new court case now underway in Hennepin County, Minnesota.
Really? You know it conclusively because of another trial that had nothing to do with George Floyd and a prosecutor that made some statements that she had some sort of conversation with the medical examiner that are unfounded and unproven. But yet, Tucker, the white supremacist Carlson III, somehow correlates that to George Floyd was not murdered, doesn't talk about the actual evidence and the fact that he was convicted, Derek Chauvin, in a court of law. It is hilarious. It is pathetic. And these people on the far right are continuing to spew their propaganda and their white supremacy, Tucker Carlson being one of them. Another guy is Jack Posobiec. If you don't know who Jack Posobiec is, he's a guy with a lot of followers on social media who I believe is a white supremacist himself. He's worked with white nationalists. He's worked with Proud Boy members. He's worked with neo-Nazis. And if anybody wants to call OAN an actual news network, then I would laugh at you there as well. This is a guy that's pushed conspiracy theories, particularly in this case. He said he followed the George Floyd case every single day. And, this is a guy that promotes hatred and bigotry. And God forbid, if a black person is killed by a white officer, can't have anything to do with racism, right? It just can't. It's the mob. It's the left. It's George Soros. That's who Jack Posobiec is, okay? And I called him out and I called him a racist. And he blocked me yesterday on Twitter, so it's an honor. But anyway, this is some of the stuff that Jack Posobiec has been spewing and continues to spew when the news came out that Derek Chauvin was stabbed.
And I'm just going to come out here and say something as plain as I can. Derek Chauvin did not murder George Floyd. Derek Chauvin, the police officer, did not murder George Floyd.
Now, listen, I'm not surprised that a white supremacist would have that opinion. It's interesting, isn't it? You don't see a lot of black people saying that. Why is that? We all saw that 9 minutes of video. We all saw Derek Chauvin's knee on George Floyd's neck. We all saw the life taken out of him. But if you're Jack Posobiec, you don't look at any of that evidence. You just defend the white man because you're a white supremacist, and he called it woke justice.
We as a country need to have a system of criminal justice. We do. But we can't have a system of political justice, of woke justice. It was woke justice that put Derek Chauvin behind bars. It was woke justice.
So, was the 9-minute video a woke video? I'm just curious. Were all the jurors woke? Were the prosecutors woke? All woke. Interesting how these right-wing turds call something woke if a white man has to suffer the consequences for a crime that he committed on a black man. Isn't it interesting? Would Jack Posobiec saying the same thing if a black officer put his knee on a white man for 9 minutes and that white man was convicted of murder, would Jack Posobiec going on social media saying that it was a woke verdict? Would Jack Posobiec be defending the black person? By the way, has Jack Posobiec ever defended anybody black, any minorities at all? Why is he always defending white people? Why is Tucker Carlson always defending white people? Why don't you ever defend black people? Now, I think I know why, and I think I know the answer to that question. But Jack Posobiec now goes on and he says that murder has been redefined. Have a listen to this.
We can't redefine murder because we want a police officer to go to jail and because we want hashtag justice for George Floyd. The regime launched a color revolution, a domestic color revolution in 2020 in this country because they wanted to enact domestic change in our country. And they used and exploited the shocking and tragic death of Mr. Floyd as a means to their ends.
No, Jack. What many people in this country did and continue to do is use George Floyd's death as a symbol of police brutality, a symbol of racism, a symbol of wrongdoing. But to the white supremacists out there like Jack Posobiec, he looks at this whole case as just left-wingers out there and black people complaining about racism. Jack is a guy that believes that systemic racism doesn't exist. Let's keep that in mind as well. If you don't think that systemic racism exists in the United States of America, you're probably wearing your Klan outfit tonight and you're a grand wizard. If you don't think that systemic racism exists in this country, then you're probably headed to that Klan meeting tonight. You're probably voting for Donald Trump. That's right. You're probably pleasuring yourself to a picture of Cheeto Jesus in your bedroom. That's probably what you're doing. Let me be very clear. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. And I'm going to speak very slowly and distinctly for you Klan members out there like Jack Posobiec. So maybe you can understand. But it's okay. Don't worry because Donald Trump loves you. He says he loves the uneducated, so don't worry about it. Derek Chauvin is a convicted murderer. Why, you ask? He was convicted in a court of law. When your arms are and your hands are handcuffed behind your back and you're lying on your belly and you're not fighting police, you're not going anywhere, police officers are not trained to put a knee on somebody's neck for 5 seconds, let alone 9 minutes. It doesn't matter what drugs were in George Floyd's body. It doesn't matter the crime that he was committing at that time. And it also doesn't matter what he did prior in his life. I don't think George Floyd is a hero. I don't think George Floyd is a martyr. Wasn't a good guy. I'll be the first one to admit that. But that doesn't mean that a police officer should be judge and jury. The type of person you are doesn't matter in that moment. All that matters is what were you doing in that moment. And what we know, based on the video, and by the way, we wouldn't have that video if not for the innocent bystanders standards that recorded it. Derek Chauvin would still be a police officer today if we didn't have that video, because we would have never seen the body camera footage, and they would have lied on the police report, which, by the way, we know they did. The only reason why we know who George Floyd is because of the innocent bystanders that recorded what took place that tragic day. Same thing with Rodney King. We would not know who Rodney King is, and we wouldn't know his name if an innocent bystander didn't record it. Mark my words, those body cameras are not always on. I am pro-police, but I believe you can be pro-police and pro-Black Lives Matter. I believe there are a lot of good police officers out there that are heroes. Obviously, Derek Chauvin, not one of them. He's a murderer. I believe there are a lot of good cops out there, but in any profession, you're going to have some bad apples out there. And there are some bad cops out there. We know that. That's 100%. That's not up for debate. And then we go to a complete moron, a right-wing turd in Jason Whitlock. And the fact that Jason Whitlock is even black and he's defending Derek Chauvin. Mesmerizing to me that you would choose money and Twitter followers, and you would choose propaganda to try to get clicks over really lying and hurting your own people. Listen to what Jason Whitlock had to say about Derek Chauvin and George Floyd.
The restraint that they were doing on George Floyd is what they were trained to do. It's what they were trained to do. No one broke procedure. Derek Chauvin and the 3 other cops did exactly what they were trained to do by the Minneapolis police force.
Jason Whitlock is a clown, and he has absolutely no idea what he is talking about. There is not one precinct in the entire country that would say when somebody is lying on their belly and they're not resisting and they're handcuffed with their hands behind their back, that it is proper procedure to have 3 officers holding somebody down and 1 officer putting his knee on that person's neck when they're claiming that they can't breathe for almost 9 minutes. Jason Whitlock is an idiot. And the only reason why he is saying those things is so that he can get clicks and he could make money. And it is despicable because a man was murdered. A man was killed. And put him in the category of the Jack Posobiec's and the Tucker Carlsons for, again, right-wing misinformation, lies. I don't feel bad for Derek Chauvin that he was stabbed. Do I condone that sort of behavior? No. But there's a difference. I didn't feel bad when Rush Limbaugh died of cancer. Did I wish he died of cancer? No, because I'm not that kind of person. But I wasn't shedding any tears either. Derek Chauvin is a convicted murderer. When I hear of convicted murderers getting beaten behind bars, I don't celebrate, but I certainly don't cry either. I tend to feel sorrow and anger and hurt for decent, good people. That's not who Derek Chauvin is. He's a bad guy. He's a murderer, and that's why he's behind bars. I feel bad, and I talk about things on this radio show and on social media when bad things happen to good people, when innocent people are kidnapped in Israel, innocent Palestinians die. I talk about issues like that. When an innocent black man is jogging down the street, Ahmaud Arbery, and he's lynched by 3 white people, I feel bad for him and his family. I don't feel bad for the people that committed the crime, because that's who I am. But if you go on television over the weekend, and if you listen to right-wing, echo chamber, right-wing conservative talk radio, they're speaking positively about Derek Chauvin. Because you see, when Donald Trump is facing 91 felonies, the right-wing turds out there will defend him. Oh, he couldn't have done anything wrong. Donald Trump didn't do anything wrong, but he's a liable rapist. Oh, that doesn't mean anything. What about the 25 women that have accused him of sexual assault or rape? Oh, no, they're all liars. It's all left-wingers out there and left-wing judges and the DOJ. Donald Trump couldn't have committed any crimes, right? And they do the same thing with Derek Chauvin. Oh, no, Derek Chauvin couldn't have been a murderer. Well, wait a second. He had a history of putting his knee on people's necks. He had a history of saying racist things at an employer that he worked at who testified under oath. We saw the video, 9 minutes, knee on the neck. Oh, no, he couldn't have committed a crime. That wasn't murder. The Jack Posobiec's of the world will say it's woke justice, when many of these people can't even define what woke is. Redefining murder. No, Jack, this isn't redefining murder. This was murder. And I have plenty of police officers that are friends of mine that were all disgusted when they watched that video. So I guess all those police officers are wrong, and Jack Posobiec, the white supremacist sympathizer, is right. It doesn't surprise me that Proud Boy members and those who associate themselves with white nationalists and those who associate themselves with neo-Nazis would defend Derek Chauvin. These are the kind of people that would donate money to Derek Chauvin. Because they're all bigots and they're all racist. And again, I ask this question one more time, and I think we should all think about this. What if? What if Derek Chauvin was black? What if all those officers around him were black? And what if that was a white man that was murdered the way George Floyd was murdered? Would Tucker Carlson be defending those black officers? Would Jack Posobiec be calling it woke justice? Ask yourself that question. What about the Parkland Five? 5 African Americans that were convicted back in the day of murder, and they were found innocent years later. Do you hear Tucker Carlson and Jack Posobiec talking about that? Are those guests going on their talk shows? No, because it doesn't fit their racist narrative. Because if it's a white police officer that commits murder, in this case to a black man, can't have anything to do with race, right? No evidence that it had anything to do with race. That's who these people are. That's who Tucker Carlson V is. That's who Jack Posobiec is. And I look at somebody like a Jason Whitlock, and he's no different than a Candace Owens or a Larry Elder. No difference. They're opportunists. They just happen to be black. And they know that if they defend white people when they shouldn't be defended, it's going to cause a lot of ruckus on social media, and they're going to get popular, and it's going to get ratings, and they're going to make money. That's why they do what they do. Candace Owens was a Democrat. Why did she become a Republican? Not because all of a sudden she said, you know what? I'm sick of the Democratic Party, and I want to be a Republican, and I want to be with all these white people that are Republicans. I had an epiphany. No, she did it so that she could sell books that I would use as toilet paper, by the way, to make money. They're opportunists. I don't know what's in Jack Posobiec's heart. I think he's a racist. Don't know that for sure. I don't know what's in Tucker Carlson's heart. But I can tell you this, they spew their right-wing propaganda and their racism so they can make money. Same thing with Candace Owens. Same thing with Larry Elder, a black man who I can guarantee you has been at some point in his life has been the victim of racism. I guarantee you that. But he's not going to talk about that because it doesn't fit the narrative of his fans. They don't want to hear that there's racism in society, systemic racism. So he sells his books and he, does his radio show and he makes his money appealing to the MAGA Republicans out there. Same thing with Candace Owens and others. The bottom line here is that Derek Chauvin is a convicted murderer for a reason. America saw the video. We saw what happened. We saw the knee on the neck for 9 minutes. Has nothing to do with what type of person George Floyd was or even the crime that he was committing. I think it was a fake $20 bill or something. Doesn't matter. All that matters is in that moment, in that 9 minutes, George Floyd had his hands behind his back and he was handcuffed and he wasn't going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. All right, here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take some phone calls. We're going to take a break first. The number to call